Welcome back to Unfiltered Unspoken podcast. We told you we're going to continue to share life experiences. We want to welcome Gemma back.
Jemma.
Gemma back for a second time. We couldn't get through her first testimony, so we're going to get through the rest of it today. And as you know, City Sid is going to kick off that first question. City Sid.
Oh, I thought you were gonna have her do an introduction. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Jimmy. Sid is right. Jimmy, can you come up and introduce yourself? It has been a very, very long day. I apologize, everybody. Jimmy, you can come up and introduce yourself. I apologize. Thank you, City Sid, for keeping me in order.
Okay, my name is Jemma Williams. I'm from Belize, Central America, and I'm a survivor of sexual abuse and narcissistic emotional abuse. And I share my story continuously just to bring awareness to society. You know, although they might be uncomfortable hearing it, we need to talk about the uncomfortable stuff and bring light to the taboo subjects. So nice meeting you all.
And thank you again for being here with us. As you had done before, we already kind of started with your childhood and your adolescent years. So we're gonna hop into the kind of meat and potatoes of this conversation. If you can tell us a little bit about the kind of buildup of your narcissistic relation or with the narcissistic person. How did you meet? And I guess what was it that, initially attracted you to them?
Okay. We met at, I would say, the university, so yeah, at the university. And I guess energetically, he was attracted to me because due to childhood, I had a missing father who was emotionally unavailable, and not only that, most of the time, narcissists know exactly how to manipulate and target their victims, so he did what he could have done. Literally sweep me off my feet, but I think in my situation, I think both of us were learning who we are as an individual, so throughout the relationship, he realized more who he is. Like, both of us have grown to realize who we are as a person. I guess he wasn't self-aware to realize he was an actual narcissist. No, but he knew he had some strange way of relating to people. Like, but I would say both of us learn within the relationship of discover who we are as a person, so I wouldn't say he was self-aware when we met. He was unaware, but he knew what he was doing was wrong. All right. But throughout the relationship, we grown to learn what was happening, because I love to dig for information. That's like my passion. I love dig for information. And regardless how uncomfortable it gets, information is something I love. I love information. So sexual abuse was more my background, and he had similar habits as me, similar trauma as me. And I asked him if he ever experienced sexual abuse, and he said no, he have never experienced sexual abuse. So I was like, but why do you have similar symptoms of trauma of someone who have been abused? So After several discussions between both of us, we realized that his mom was very emotionally abusive. And that's the after effects of trauma. So he experienced emotional abuse from his mother, and I experienced sexual abuse from predators, you know? So both of us had that similarity of the after effects of trauma. So both of us were survivors of trauma. And I would say that's what the energetically, that is what drawn both of us together, because we can relate to trauma. But he didn't know his own. It was me who helped him discover that part of him, you know, just as, because like I said, I was very into details and information. So both of us dig for information to figure out what is going on. So it's like both of us grew into learning who we are as an individual. All right. So a more self-aware narcissist would have destroyed me worst, you know. But in his case, he didn't know more or less who he was. He was just acting as a narcissist would normally act, to just destroy, you know.
And so I want to jump back before we get into the helping each other realize, because we want to show folks that they are in a narcissistic behavior and things that are happening through the narcissistic behavior to bring awareness. So when did you start to realize the signs or things that he was doing to you in the relationship to pull you in and then to show narcissistic behaviors?
I would say it started more because I would say he was kind of helping me figure out my own trauma as well. Right. So he helped me dig that out, the sexual abuse part. And the more we the more I shared that information with him, he would use that information to throw that in my face, like I'm not good enough because of what happened to me. You know, I'm not good enough because of what happened to me. And he is the one who is helping me being a better person. Like, he would normally throw things in my face and then compare me to other women because I was overweight. So he would compare me to his mom, to absolutely anyone. You know, he would bring down my self-esteem, my self-confidence, because I was very more of a shining light, you know, in that area. I was very open in the sense of sharing my sexual abuse story. And due to that openness, so people from social media, you know, have gravitated towards me. And he was very envious of that, that I got that attention and he didn't get that attention. So he tried his best to not allow my self-confidence to grow. And the one time I did realize, while we were arguing, I was literally crying my tears out. I was crying and he just laughed. He literally laughed straight in my face. Like, and I could have, like, how could you laugh at my pain? That the fact that we're arguing. And he was like, he doesn't know why he's even laughing, but it just feels good to see me cry. And I was like, what the hell? And I didn't understand, like, I really didn't understand what the hell was going on with him, but he was just changing into someone who I don't even know who he was anymore. And there was someone on Facebook, I think it was a US page on Facebook, was sharing about narcissistic abuse. I myself didn't know what narcissistic abuse was, but due to that information that was being shared, I could have seen, oh wow, I'm in a narcissistic abuse relationship. And even though the information was there, I wanted to fix him. I wanted to, okay, you have these habits. How can we work together to fix it? I was the Mrs. Fix It, and he just didn't care, basically. He just didn't care. And I would say the more I tried to push for him to be a better individual, the more I just lost my own self and got destroyed in that relationship. All right. But I did had a better job than him. So whenever it comes to comparing jobs, he would bring me down when it comes to my job. He was very envious when it comes to my job. We had several arguments when it comes to that. He also had a habit of helping in the household and throw that in my face of what he have done. So toxic stuff like that, I had to research what the hell is going on. Like, what is this? Is this normal? Emotional abuse is normal. I didn't know what was normal and what wasn't. So I had to do some research. But our relationship was very complex because as much as we had that toxicity, it's like, how can I explain it to cut it short? It's like he was living through my eyes. Like I was his life. And if I fail, he feel like a failure. No. And if I shine, he's even more angry. So it's like, I cannot shine. I cannot be too bright. I can be bright, but not too bright because it intimidates him. All right. So it is, oh gosh, I don't know how to explain it. It was a complex relationship. It was a very complex relationship, but I'm glad that I have learned so much in just that one relationship because it felt like I was dating 10 men with so much toxic behavior. And now it's like I can see toxic behavior from a mile away, and with that one relationship teach me a lesson for a lifetime. I will never allow myself to go back to something like that, So the more a narcissist or psychopath or sociopath would expose certain behaviors, the more you can learn. But they are very, very clever. So although I have experienced that one relationship, I wouldn't say I will not get in another relationship, right? But it will be quicker for me to get out of it rather than 9 years because I spent 9 years with him. All right. So because they are very, very clever, I can give them credit for that, in that sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, had you, outside of a romantic relationship, did you previously experience a man of this caliber, or like somebody that, you know, had that behavior, whether it was, you know, a husband of family members or, you know, your actual family members? Like, have you did you have to experience that type of personality where you kind of knew how to navigate it at all, or was this something completely, you know, new to you?
This was completely new to me. Completely new to me. And which is why I said I learned through this relationship. You know, I learned through this relationship because I had never experienced it. But after this relationship, I had to go back to childhood. Did anything similar happen? Because what I did realize was that the more he didn't give me love, approval, affection and stuff like that, the more I chased it. So I wanted to know, okay, what was the absence of my father affected me in that sense of creating a pathway of gravitating to men who is not available? Or is it from my mom because she was more busy trying to take care of the household, being alone, and I just didn't have that emotional connection with her? So I had to figure out which parent created that atmosphere or that pathway. And I was like, you know what, it doesn't even matter which parent does it. The point is, it's there, and I need to fix it. I need to fix it. I need to ensure that I fulfill myself and be emotionally available to myself rather than having that hole that was created from my parents. You know, and because if I do not fix that part of me, I will always gravitate to people. That's either friendship, family, or it doesn't matter. I will always gravitate to people who is never there for me. And that's where the healing is, you know. So that relationship really teach me so much, because I had to go back from the beginning. Where did it started? You know, and he actually liked that about me, and he hated that too, because I would make sure I find information. And the thing is, he had learned as well, because at the end of the relationship, we were still, or I was still trying to fix it. At the end of the relationship, I was still trying to fix it. And I cried, and he looked me dead in the eyes and said, you know, I only really dated you because you were overweight. And the next girl, his next victim, I would say, is have more confidence and have self-esteem. And I did had all of that when we met, but due to his constant comparison, comparing me to women, all of that went from me as well. My self-esteem went, my self-confidence went, everything just dry right out. And I told him, you know what? At the end of the day, it's both of us of our fault. It's my fault that I even stayed. And it's his fault that he did what he did. So now, after so many years, as much as I want to blame him, I also have my responsibility too. You know, I also have my responsibility too, because I allowed so much, because I didn't see my own worth or see my own value. you
And
know, and yes.
I wanted to ask because I don't want to go after dating a man for 9 years, and then he tells you the only reason why I dated you was because of your weight. How did that make you feel? Because I guess he's saying that uh, I, I don't know the meaning of that. Is I dated you because I could bring you down, or did
Yes,
you like
he
having?
meant it that way.
Okay. So how did that make you how did that emotionally make you feel?
It made me feel so unappreciated and unloved because um during the relationship, since he compared me a lot towards women, I did try my best to lose weight, but the more he tried to tell me to lose weight, I was like, you know what, screw this. I ain't doing this for you. I'm doing this for me, you know? So I go straight to self sabotage. As soon as I lose 10, 20 pounds, I gain that right back because it's not for him, it's for me. You know, like what's the point of doing all this and you don't even appreciate it? So screw it. I'm going to gain it right back. You know, and I told him time and time again that losing weight literally can take 3 months, 6 months, and a year. And by the time I do lose weight, I even would want you back. All right. Because just because I'm overweight, that doesn't mean I'm ugly or stuff like that. But he make it seem that way. So it really, really made me feel unloved, you know, and when he did told me that at the end of the relationship, that's like he knew that would have hurt me to the core. So that's how narcissists are. They would find something that they know they can target you to the core and hurt you to the core. And that was my weak spot, my self-image. So due to the fact that I had poor self-image, I during the recovery now I try my best to work on self-image. You know, self-image is like the most important thing. So regardless what anyone tell me, it doesn't even matter, right? But it is still a struggle to deal when it comes to my own weight, because that programming of what he told me is still there, right? It's still there, but I fight every single day to ensure that I am in control and not him. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Now, was there anyone that you confided in or that had kind of full transparency of the situation? And what kind of feedback did you get? Like, were you, encouraged to stay, work it out? Was that part of your decision, or were they telling you to leave, and you were going against that advice? Like, what was the feedback with people in your life?
Okay. We had, I would say, friends. I wouldn't say friends. Well, she became a friend after the fact. But she was like more like a guidance counselor, you can say. And we were just trying to work it out, but with narcissists, you can't go to a counseling session with a narcissist, because they will manipulate the counselor, and then the counselor will look at you and say that you're the problem. So that's what exactly happened. I was the problem even through counseling sessions, So yeah, it was like literally a waste of time to go to counseling with him. And I was more keeping the relationship problems private. So no, it was more, I go to a counselor, to discuss problems. And after some years, I did created a Facebook group, and I shared what was happening. And the people in the group was telling me yes to leave him, but I just couldn't leave because deep down he made me feel like he would be the only one who would ever love me on the face of the earth. Like I should be lucky that he is even dating me, so I couldn't leave at all because like who else would want me or who else would love me, so that's how he made me feel. And I didn't have the strength to even go anywhere. Like I just felt stuck, basically. Yeah. So that's mostly it.
So deep down inside, just to bring transparency to the audience, how did you feel inside, emotionally, physically? Were you going through mental health issues,
I felt like a nobody.
Okay.
That's how I honestly felt, like a nobody. Like I almost even went to suicide, that's how that it was leading to that, to just commit suicide, because what's the point of living? What's the point of life if I'm stuck and I can't even get out of it? And but I said to myself, I'm a fighter, and some way or the other, something will happen for me to get out of this. And something did happen indeed. Because he was noticing how frustrated I am, how frustrating I was becoming, because I was literally losing my light. I didn't have that spark anymore. I didn't have that that enthusiasm when it comes to life. He couldn't squeeze any more out of me. And that's when he realized he had to let go, because like, what's the point of being with me if I am unable to feed him? Because narcissists feed from people, and I couldn't feed him anymore. I couldn't feed him anymore, his ego or anything. I couldn't feed him anymore. And he realized that. And that's when he just said, he had to let me go. And it has been better since.
So what you're saying, it was his idea to break up, generally speaking?
In the first instance, yes. But after that, I said, I'm not going to play no games. This is going to be it. You want us to break up? This is it. Because it was like our first breakup, like literally first breakup. Because most of the time we want to break up, but we never said, okay, we're going to break up. We just maybe take space, but we never break up. So this was the first time we literally took a breakup, and it was official. I told him, no, I don't even want to be friends. I changed my entire number. I literally just moved on, cold turkey.
And how did he take that necessarily? Was his goal just to kind of like move and shake your feelings a little bit, or was he actually done as well?
Well, he wanted to keep me as a placeholder around. He wanted to keep me around, but I just didn't want that. I told him, if you want to go around exploring the world and meeting other women, well, so be it. I'm going to step out. I'm going to leave. This is not going to be a back and forth between us anymore, because I had it. You don't want to grow, and I'm tired. So I made that decision for myself. I took his entire stuff, the majority of his stuff, and I took it to his apartment because he was already living somewhere else. So And he was literally shocked. He said, you know what? I'm seriously shocked that you even did this, because he thought that I would never, ever leave. I would never, ever leave him. That's what he thought, because that's what I presented, that I will never leave him. No.
Wow. So after this, can you tell let the audience know, I think I mentioned this, but some of the things that he did to you, like I know the weight was one thing, but
Mhm.
just if there was any embarrassment or withdrawing, pushing you away from other people. Can you tell us a little bit, elaborate on that, some of the things that he did? Because narcissists like control, and it seems like he had,
Mhm.
at some point he had control. So how did he get into that position of control?
When it comes to control, he would literally, like, sometimes when it, let's say, for us to go out, all right, let's say for us, like, I want us to go somewhere, maybe, I don't know, I just pick a place, maybe a picnic or maybe an event, that I plan. He would literally wait until like the day or the last minute to say, oh, we got to clean this, we got to clean that. So after a while, we never go out, we never go anywhere. And that was his tactic, that he doesn't want to do anything with me. And that's how he would place control of not taking me anywhere that we have other things to do in the house. And his other tactic was, when we have events, he would argue with me, especially on paydays. We would have several arguments when it comes to money, and when it comes to my job, because he was working at I would say at the bus terminal, and he was, he would compare that to me working in an AC environment. And we had several arguments when it comes to that. So we always argue about simple things. And when we start to argue, he would take me in circles. So sometimes when we argue, we would literally argue for 3 hours. I'm not even exaggerating. 3 hours of argument, back and forth, circle, 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 no solution, just arguments. And I even told him, I'm just exhausted of being argumentative. I don't even like to argue. I just want solution. And he didn't even want solution. He want to argue. So after a couple of years dating him, I started to say, you know what? An hour argument is good, but after that, beyond that, I'm done. So I started to take control when it comes to arguments, because it was becoming so exhausting. And narcissists, if they notice that they can burn you out of energy, they will do their best. They will do their best when it comes to that. All right. And he was burning me out when it comes to my energy. So, but the most hurtful one was when it comes to my weight. That was like, how can I say this? If any other tactic doesn't work on me, whatever tactic he used doesn't work on me, he knows exactly what will work to get his way. And that's how he gained more control, because my self-image was poor. So his main focus was my weight. If any other tactic doesn't work, he would focus on that. So a narcissist, if they notice whatever brings you down, if nothing works, they will go to that. All right.
Right. Now, being as though you said at the beginning, you both kind of had like a journey of discovering, each other's traumas and figuring some things out. Why do you think it never, I guess, kind of like set in or dawned on you, I've already discovered why he is the way that he is, and I can't use that to, kind of overcome it or like disregard the mess he's on. Like, do you know why you were never really able to kind of, put that together, being as though his trauma as to why he is the way that he is, and how you didn't use that to your advantage to kind of maneuver through it?
Like for us to work together?
Well, no, just to either have the strength to say, I'm done with this. This is something you need to work on. This is why you are the way you are, or even to not take it as personally, or not, take what he says to heart, because why he is doing it. Do you know why there was never really kind of a correlation as to how you were able to take, his madness in a sense?
Oh, okay. All right. Well, like I said, I didn't have that faith in my own self that I was beautiful enough, or I didn't even have that courage to think that I'm able to be on my own. Because after researching about codependency and narcissists, that's when I realized that codependent women, or not women, codependent people are literally half of a circle, and narcissists are half of a circle. So I needed him as much as he needed me to feel like a whole person. So I felt like I couldn't be whole on my own. That's how I literally felt. I couldn't be whole on my own. So I needed him to feel whole. And that's what unhealthy relationships are. Or unhealthy and toxic relationships are. If you're not whole within yourself, you will stay in a relationship to make you feel whole. And that's what kept me there so long. I didn't felt whole. It was like after digging for information, that's when I realized that codependency is something that you got to recover from and feel whole within yourself. You got to gain everything from yourself that you want from someone else. And just like a narcissist, they need to do the same work, but they don't want to do that. They don't want to go in the recovery part. So the more a codependent person healed from their trauma and everything, the more they won't need, they might want but not need someone to be there to make them feel like a whole person. All right.
So I want to jump into the breakup. So you broke up, you separated. How long did it take him to move on? Because you mentioned his next victim.
He moved on completely right next day. He was already in a relationship.
So that means he was messing with her while he was messing with you.
Yeah,
Did
yeah.
she know about you?
He told me about her. He did. He mentioned her. Yeah. He didn't. He was like one of those honest narcissists. Like, he didn't. He told me everything about her, and I was like, because that was what he was telling me. when during the breakup that I have lost my spark, and he only dated me because I was overweight, and the next victim is more have more self-esteem, have more confidence, have like the next victim was more of a diamond than I was, so he did told me about her, but I didn't I didn't get in their relationship or anything. I just let it be. Like I said, I just completely moved on from that and tried to focus more on myself.
Do
All
you think
right.
he
So
tore her self-esteem up?
what's that?
Do you think he messed her self-esteem up?
Oh, they already broke up. He almost stopped her, and she started to add me on Facebook looking for me. And yeah, it is a cycle, sadly. I didn't reach out to her or anything like that, but I already knew that he damaged her for sure, or messed up her for sure. So she started to follow me on Facebook and share the stuff that I was posting about narcissistic abuse. So I was like, now you know that the God that you were dating is who he is. He's a devil. All right. So they already broke up, and now he is already on his on his fourth victim. Yes.
Now, are you, just kind of watching from the shadows, watching afar, or like are these,
Yeah, I was like watching from afar. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna learn, honey. You're gonna learn. So I just watched from afar, like, yeah, you're gonna come to me because, yeah, I'm the one who know exactly who that guy is.
were
So
there
I
any
know,
ones that
I know
you
all of his exes is gonna come to me or find me some way or the other. You know.
was there anyone
So
that you reached out to, yourself, just, as, this girl just really doesn't know. She's a good person. Like, just trying to help anybody out. No, no, no.
no, the thing that I realized is that if I had warned her, it would have been, oh, I want my ex back and stuff like that. I don't want that. I'm very, very clever when it comes to that. Oh no, you're gonna learn just like I learned. you know. So and he was doing the same thing though. He literally dated her and they broke up, and she added me on Facebook and she looked at everything that I was posting. That's why I knew that he was messing up, because she literally liked and shared everything that I was doing. So I was like, okay, you're gonna learn, you're gonna learn, you're gonna learn. And I guess he manipulated her to go back, and they dated, and she unfriended me, and they dated again. And after they broke up, she added me again on Facebook and shared the same thing. So I was like, okay, you learn. Hopefully now you learn.
You would have never came back on my page. That would have been it. That would have been it.
No, because I look at it as, at the end of the day, as much as she have a responsibility of dating him while he was still with me, he still had the bigger power. He still had that bigger power when it comes to manipulation. So as much as she have her part in it, he also have his part, and he will have more victims. And that's what my page is for. My page is for support of anyone who had experienced narcissistic abuse, because I wasn't aware that they even exist. I didn't know people like this even exists. I thought like it was more like a movie kind of thing, but these things are real. It is real.
It
And
is.
it is real. And I said, by the end of the day, she's just gonna know the truth by
Yeah,
her own actions. You know,
but
I don't need to, I don't need to let her suffer
mhm.
because she's suffering already on her own.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what I was trying to say is in any situation, right? When we go through narcissistic relationships, because I've been through them as well, and even at the place that I'm in, there becomes a weakness within us as you went to back to your childhood to see where these issues stemmed from. It's bringing the awareness to say, what is causing you to stay in this situation, because that's where we have to take accountability at, because there's some trauma or something that we're lacking to cause us to stay in situations where there are so many red flags. There are so many red flags.
Hmm.
Like, how do I go from being this happy, bubbly person? Now I'm stressed, but not only am I seeing it, our friends are seeing it. And you said one very important thing was I stayed out of it because even if I said something to her, she was going to say, "Oh, I wanted him." And if you go back and look at my Facebook post today, it actually literally says that we make decisions and choices and people warn us and we have red flags, because I've been on one of those people, like, you don't know what you're talking about, but it's within ourselves, the weakness within ourselves. How do we strengthen that so that when we go to the next relationship, that we're able to get up, walk away, and leave? And that's something that you said as well, is now if I get in a relationship and I see the signs, I'm able to get up, walk away, and leave. Not to go back, but to leave.
Yeah.
I guess let me clear that up. I guess that's what I meant, is we have to look at within ourselves sometimes when we're continuously going through situations like this.
Yeah. Because I think the more we do not face ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't matter who you date, you're going to find the same person in different faces, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
Right. So everything starts from us. And that's what I'm learning. You know,
Mm-hmm.
everything starts from us.
Agreed.
All right.
Now, did all of this occur, in your home country, or were you guys stateside? And what was kind of a two-part question. In your home country, what is the I guess I don't know how I want to put this. I guess what is the culture and beliefs surrounding that? Like, are women generally to stay in abusive relationships of any sort, or are they frowned upon? Do the men step in and tell when men are being abusive and things like that? Like, is it something that's like accepted, or to the point where it's something you didn't really experience outside of being in it yourself?
Well, from what I have realized, so many people, not just women, so many people experience narcissistic abuse, but they don't know that they're experiencing narcissistic abuse, which is why I be determined to expose what narcissistic abuse is. But they have several women, yes, who stayed in these relationships and sadly become more victims than anything else. And the culture here is more, they gravitate to helping women, you know, getting out of relationships, or help them bring, or I would say, yeah, help them get out of relationships and to bring more awareness when it comes to abuse. But from what I realize, we have several organizations here, and they only seem to put so much power into advocacy or to do something when something dramatic happens to a woman within our country. So something like a woman have to get stabbed 8 times by their abusive partner, like several women within the month have to be abused so many times for the organizations here to step up and say, oh, stop abuse women or stop abuse kids, and da da da, a whole heap of stuff. Like, they are not consistent when it comes to being out there. You know, only when something big, huge happen, you will see all these organizations that has been dormant come out of nowhere. Oh, we're here to help the people, or we're here to help women. You know, it shouldn't be like that. It should be a constant, we're here, you know? So yeah, it's very, honestly, I don't even like it because, it's sometimes I find it too one-sided as well, because there are so many things available for women, but not for men who is also going through narcissistic abuse, you know. And I'm more like that. I'm more like stuff for men and for women, not just for women, because women are not the only one who is being hurt, you know. And there was a time I literally went to a women's it wasn't a women's it was a women's conference. No, it was just a conference. It wasn't a women's conference. It was just a conference. And the department, or the person that was presenting abuse, literally show woman in their PowerPoint presentation. They literally show a man hitting a woman. That was their PowerPoint. And I told her, I mean, that is not abuse. That is a one-sided presentation. You know, women abuse men too, you know, and they got really pissed off with me because I was like, how can you teach this? How can you teach society that men are strong and will abuse you? Because that was what they were saying, you know, that the strong person is the man and the weak person is the woman. You know, and I was like, this is wrong, that you shouldn't be teaching it this way. Right.
That's typically how it goes. We're almost at time, and I want to ask something before we go, because you went through all this and you got the courage to go to the news and blast your story, your life experience. Can you tell us about that really quick, and then we're gonna wrap it up and close it out?
Okay. Sorry about that. I had an incoming call. All right. Sorry, I didn't get the question. I had an incoming call at the same time you were asking the question.
Oh, sorry. I was saying that you, after all of the trauma that you went through, you got the courage to go to the news and blast your life experience. So you are actually made some clips on the news. Can you tell us a little bit about that and what made you do that?
Oh, I was literally just pissed off, you know, pissed off with myself, pissed off with my family, pissed off with the world. I was like literally pissed off. Like, how can people not tell me that this thing even exists? How did I not know that narcissistic abuse exists? So I said to myself, you know what? The entire world needs to know that this thing exists. And that's how pissed off I was. And that's what I did. I said the whole world needs to know that narcissistic abuse exists. That's the determination of my passion of being pissed off.
Did you experience any kind of like blowback from, you know, doing that? You know, were you bombarded with calls or called out for being a liar or anything like that?
Well, I get called up of being a liar when it comes to my sexual abuse experience because it was so many people who had abused me, you know. But when it comes to narcissistic abuse, I didn't get so much of a backlash. It was more people are like, how can I say? They're not familiar what narcissistic abuse is. So it just sounding like something new, and there was just more talking like, okay, he hit you, because that's what majority of people know. They more know about physical abuse. So I had to explain, no, he didn't really hit me. It was more like verbal and emotional, and I had to explain most of that, what narcissistic abuse is. So it was more like an educational kind of thing. All right.
All right. So we are at time. Really quick, I just want to ask if you can give men and women some advice about getting up and getting the courage to leave a narcissistic relationship before it escalates to as far as it is, because a lot of people like to stay, but we are trying to get them to leave. So from your personal life experience, what advice would you give someone?
All right. My advice would be, I would say to just be, to get educated when it comes to narcissistic abuse. That's the only advice, because personally, well, everyone learned differently, right? Everyone learned differently. Sometimes people have to go through it to learn it. And sometimes people go through the information and see the signs and leave, right? But what I have seen so many times from survivors and victims is that although they see the signs, they read the information, they still want to fix it. So the next question is that you got to realize you are worthy and valuable, and you do not need to be in such a toxic relationship, because that person will not change. You can be, if you notice like you're already 30 years within this relationship, and over again, you're losing yourself, you're losing your passion, you don't even feel passionate about what you used to love. Like, so many things have changed. And to cope with stress, you go to do drugs, or you go to do something that you never used to do. So if you notice that you're losing yourself, that's when you need to pull back from the relationship and be like, I deserve more. I Because literally you're losing yourself, you're losing your soul. And it is hard. It is hard to leave a narcissist, but when you do, it's going to be the best decision you have ever made. And you would think like, why didn't I did this earlier or sooner? So I would say get a support group and see how they can best encourage you to leave. Always have a backup plan, to leave that relationship.
Absolutely wise words. So we do like to give all of our guests a chance to participate, and kind of letting the viewers know how they can contact you, utilize your services, help them work through anything if they're having familiar or similar issues to what we discussed today. So please feel free to shamelessly plug yourself, and let the viewers know how they can get up with you.
Okay, you can contact me through Facebook. That's Williams JS. That's on Facebook. And I also have an email address. That's Simone, SIMONE, JEM 2 at gmail.com. No, that's my email. So whenever you need to talk or, just get more information from me, you can definitely email me from there or through Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. We need you to hold a second once we end. We want to thank everyone for tuning in to Unfiltered, Unspoken podcast. Thank you for coming back a second time, Jemma. We appreciate it. We so appreciate it. So if you're going through a narcissistic relationship, we hope that Jemma's testimony will help you realize that you're in a narcissistic relationship, because if someone is destroying you and bringing your self-esteem down and making you feel less of a person, that is not a healthy relationship. And those are early red flags for you to get up and leave before you get in deep into the relationship and they destroy you. So we hope, men and women, that you have the courage to not allow anyone to belittle you and bring you down to a point where you feel like nothing. That is not healthy, and those are narcissistic signs. And we hope exactly that you will get up and leave. And if you want to go run to the news like Jemma did and take your frustration out, you do that too. We want to thank you for tuning into Unfiltered Unspoken podcast, where we're going to continue to share life experiences. Ain't that right, City said?
That's right.
That's right. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.
Okay, bye.
No, you stay. You stay.
Oh.
Yeah.